Why are realistic simulators fun? Really, actual question. At first glance, they seem just like real-life jobs and professions simulated, but time and time again, throughout gaming history, these sims become the top-selling, highest-rated, and most-played games there are. Today, I have some of the best newly released simulator games that you can play right now, but will you get caught up in any of them? Let's find out. Starting your first day, TCG Card Shop Simulator. This, at first glance, looks like just some indie run-of-the-mill simulator game that you're running a trading card shop and you're receiving these customers, selling card packs, opening card packs, and it seems quite straightforward. But this one has blown up to overwhelmingly positive user reviews. At the time of recording, over 30,000 user reviews on Steam at 97% positive. This game is incredibly popular, and people have been playing it all the time with thousands of concurrent players in the game. Like, this is one of the biggest games that has released recently, and it's just in early access right now, and they're planning for a full release in 2025, but TCG Card Shop Simulator has already hit the ground, bolting down the street and into this trading card shop. And you're just stacking so many packs and packs of cards. You're opening packs to try and increase or find cards of high value and selling those off. You're deodorizing the stinky customers, and you're just trying to run your business and expand your business to be the best card shop around. I mean, the premise is pretty straightforward, and I think if you're into the theme and you like simulator games, then this is going to be one that you would be into. I mean, we've seen similar things like this, and there's just so many themes of how you can run these shops in this kind of gameplay, and some have worked and some have been less popular, but this one has just been so massively successful, I had to include it. And now for today's simulator game sponsor, Train Sim World 5. Click the link below to have a closer look. This is a realistic train simulator that caters to the train-obsessed part of our brains, that for some reason has us hooked on everything trains. This one has brand new routes to drive through, iconic trains to control, and new challenges to conquer. Visually, the game looks great and gives you a lot of simulation to control and tons of information at your fingertips. If you've been waiting to hop onto this one, now's the perfect time because there's a completely free starter pack for the holiday season, and you can just jump into it and try before committing. A free demo always helps. And there are also discounts ongoing if you like what you try, which also means you can get it as a gift for someone who you know loves trains too. Or you can try to convince that one friend who for some reason keeps resisting the urge to drive trains. If you have Xbox Game Pass, it's on that as well, and if you're jumping in fully, there is the standard and deluxe editions, plus the new DLC are on sale as well, if you've already got the game and want more, like the MBTA Commuter and West Coast Mainline expansions. The DLC are sitting at 90% positive ratings on Steam, along with the full game, with recent reviews approaching 90% positive, so people are enjoying this one. Also, if you own any previous versions of Train Sim World, any old add-ons that you own will port over to the new game. Train Sim World 5 is on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and the Epic stores, so remember to click the link below just to let them know you came from here and to support the channel. Thank you. And thanks to Dovetail Games for sponsoring. For another vehicular simulator, Pure Rock Crawling. This one has fully released to very positive user reviews, and it's about driving vehicles across very rough terrain. This is an off-road simulator with soft body tires, suspension customization that affects your handling, and it's supposed to be true to life drivetrain simulation and visual add-ons. You have a variety of trails or just free roam with multiple challenges to get through, and this one has been well liked for a driving simulator. There's all the physics simulation which are very important to a game like this. You know, the soft body tire physics. You can't really have a proper simulator, an off-road driving simulator, without these physics simulations. The suspension, and, you know, the various trails and detailed maps really do play a part into how fun this can be, because you need those challenging but interesting and not repetitive driving trails to go on, because This sounds like it can get very repetitive. The whole game is driving off-road. How interesting could that get? Like, you're driving over some rocks and then you're driving over other rocks, but then there's cliffs and rivers and obstacles and challenges, all of this for you to conquer. So this game is all about conquering nature with your vehicle, and pure rock crawling seems to be liked, and it's sitting at about 85% overall rating on Steam, over 90% for recent reviews. So generally speaking, it's a pretty good one that you can play right now. Going back to the store, Supermarket Simulator. This is a simulator that's all about running your own little grocery store. You'll be buying items to sell, you'll be stocking your shelves and checking out customers, which will just have to pay money with whatever they've got. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes you gotta give them change. Now, this might seem like just another run-of-the-mill simulator experience, but this one released into early access in 2024, and they're planning for a full release sometime in 2025, and it's so popular. At the time of recording, it's approaching 60,000 user reviews on Steam at overall very positive 93%, and recent reviews, which there are 5,000 of, are at 98% positive. You can't really hope for higher than 98% positive on Steam. So this one, Supermarket Simulator, it's an explosive game that, whether you understand it or not, and whether you understand the popularity or not, it is. And if you're looking for simulator experiences, then Supermarket Simulator is at least one of the most popular and well-liked ones there are recently. And it's still getting updates and improvements, and maybe it's just something about going from a small little nook and cranny store into something much bigger, and that progression is just satisfying. It's probably something about that. But yeah, it's still getting more and more stuff added to it. It's going through early access, and it should be fully releasing sometime soon, actually. Hey, now that you're into the list, I'm sure you're enjoying it, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you can like the video. Also, be sure to check out the Patreon for exclusive videos. If you sign up now at the $1 tier, you will lock in that price for everything forever, even after the price goes up. You can legacy yourself the cheapest price possible for a bunch of videos. Thank you. Alright, next game. Now going a little bit further back, House Flipper 2. So for this list, when I'm saying these are very new simulator experiences, what I mean is that they're about a year old or newer. House Flipper 2 fully released in December 2023, so just about a year. And this one, although some have levied some criticism against it, has been going very well and is very popular. Overall reviews at the time of recording are 83% positive, but recent reviews are 96% positive. Very high, overwhelmingly positive. And just as an update, they have just done a winter update and they're going through a co-op beta. So perhaps the co-op experience is driving some of the interest, and, well, even though it is a fully released game, adding in co-op and adding in new types of game modes and more content, it is still going along through development. Being fully released just about a year ago, I would still consider House Flipper 2 to be very new, considering the span of simulator games and simulator experiences spans decades. I would say within the year is pretty much new. So House Flipper 2, it released well, people are enjoying it, and it's still going strong. If you like to repair and build up dilapidated structures and sell them for a profit, because that's really what House Flipper 2 is all about. But because it is slightly older, you probably already know about it. For a very recent release into early access, Fast Food Simulator. This is a very new entry to the simulator genre, and it has just released into early access, looking at 6 months to a year in early access, but you never know with these games, they can always go longer. Anyway, this one, you are running a chaotic fast food restaurant, and you can play solo or in co-op with up to 6 players, and you're running this fast food restaurant, and you're working with your friends to expand your business, take orders, make burgers, and increase your earnings by dealing with customers. So this is sort of a realistic overcooked, I guess you could say. Anyway, in early access right at the start, it released to very positive user reviews, 94% positive on Steam. So this one has hit the ground running, and I think that cooperative working together experience is always good. And maybe at first glance this just looks like another kitchen cooking simulator thing, but the fast food chain setting does set it a little bit apart. And I think the co-op where you're working with your friends or with a team and getting that cohesive cooperation going, and when that really hits, that is very, very satisfying. When you all just start to work together in tandem and the gears are oiled and all of that good stuff. Anyway, Fast Food Simulator still has some time to continue proving itself. You never know with these games. Quite often, you'd be surprised when a game releases into early access, everyone loves it. But then as early access goes on into full release, sometimes, and surprisingly often, the game is considered worse than at the start of early access. So it's early days for Fast Food Simulator, but it's playable now and people are enjoying it. For a very new full release, Grocery Store Simulator. Similar to the other ones we've seen on this list, I mean, sometimes you have to wonder, what's really different about these games? Why are they all so popular? You're pretty much doing the same thing. This is Grocery Store Simulator, which is not the same as Supermarket Simulator, which is not the same as TCG Card Shop Simulator, but essentially you're doing the same thing. You are stocking shelves, you're buying stuff to sell, you're selling them to customers, and you're checking them out, and like, what's really the difference here? But this one, fully released in November 2024 to very positive user reviews, also over 90%, like around 94% positive. And it might not be as popular as some of the other ones, but being over 90% positive rating on Steam, I thought I should mention this one as an alternative. This one you can play solo or team up with your friends into 4-player co-op, and you're expanding your business in this first-person shop-running simulator experience. It's all about the store management, and I guess maybe store management and shop running is just sort of a trend right now in simulators. And when a genre has a trend, there tends to be room for a lot of competition. So if you want to be running a store in a simulator game, then Grocery Store Simulator is an option, but compare with the others and see which one you would lean into. Going back to property, ContractVille. This is one that released into early access around the middle of 2024, and it's looking at a full release in 2025. This one, you start penniless and you create your own journey of property progression. You demolish, build, decorate, and purchase land. You can build your own designs. You can sell what you build at auctions, and you can create your own company. And you can do all of this in co-op with up to 4 players in an open world. So this one is sort of like a property flipper management building kind of sim, but it goes a bit more detailed. The planning phase really works with some schematics, and you have to really build up the structure from not just the ground up, from under the ground up. You got to lay those foundations down, and you really got to put everything together to finish this structure, and then you are basically this construction company. You're not just flipping houses, you are building them. Even the furniture and the paint and the decoration, it's all up to you. Now, ContractVille released into early access to between 80 to 90% positive ratings. Overall reviews at 81% at the time of recording. Recent reviews, 89%, so it's reaching up there. And going through early access, it's getting regular updates with more content and mechanics. And there's the occasional discount as well, so you could wait for one of those. Generally, this seems to be one of the more chill, relaxing experiences. There's actually a lot more to this than you would think. You can even build some nature stuff or upgrade your own office, and there's cars, there's taxis, there's cargo, you gotta ship stuff around. So ContractVille does have a lot going for it. It's still going through early access, and we'll see how it goes through 2025. Okay, one more of these, and I promise this is the last one, but I have to mention it. It's called Supermarket Together. Yes, it's another grocery store simulator. I can't believe how so many of these are popular. A few of them, sure. Another one. And this one released on Steam as a free-to-play game towards the end of 2024 to, again, overwhelmingly positive user reviews. It's approaching 50,000 user reviews on Steam at 95+% positive. And there are thousands of concurrent players still playing Supermarket Together, and it being a free-to-play game does make sense as to why so many people are playing it, but I guess if it's a free-to-play game, it's okay for you to just try it. This is a multiplayer supermarket game. You stock your shop, you unlock perks and franchises, you hire employees, and you deal with shoplifters. And the big selling point here, it's not just a co-op game, it's the more players, the better. You can go up to 16 players in this game, or you can go it solo, but 16-player multiplayer in a game like this, I suppose that's what really sets it apart. If you have a lot of friends and you all want to manage a supermarket, then this one is for you. Supermarket Together is basically a grocery store sim, but at a grander scale. The shop seems bigger, the number of players is bigger, and generally it seems to be more. It's intriguing that it's being free to play, so of course watch out for any other types of monetization or any changes to the monetization, because free-to-play games, they might just be free-to-play, they might have some kinds of monetization, and those monetization methods can change in the future. But for now, Supermarket Together is just overwhelmingly popular. For whatever reason, people are into grocery store sims right now, and this is definitely an option that you should look at if you're looking for one. Okay, then the oldest game on this list I'm going to mention is Thief Simulator 2. It's a little over a year old, but it is very popular, and generally this is a thief simulator. You're breaking into properties, you're stealing stuff, you're using drones to scout out because you're a high-tech thief now, you're cracking into safes, stealing gold bars, knocking people out, all the thieving skills that you need. You learn skills, you collect tools, and you become a master of the thieving trade. This one did fully release at the end of 2023 to about 90% positive user reviews on Steam, and I just want to mention this because it is so popular, and it's just a little over a year old, so I would still say it's new, but maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but people have been really enjoying Thief Simulator 2. And because it is older, I won't get too much into it, but it's something for your consideration in case you missed it. Now, being a bit more nefarious, and I'm gonna be a little bit more careful, Dealer Simulator 2. Now, I don't want to get too much into the details of what this is, but I think the title is self-explanatory, and the trailer footage you're seeing on screen pretty much explains what we're talking about here. This game did fully release around the middle of 2024 to mostly positive user reviews. Recent reviews are a bit better, 70 to 80% positive, which doesn't sound too high, but a lot of people have been enjoying this, and people always bring it up when it comes to recent simulator games that are good to play, and I think just thematically you gotta be into it. But there is a lot to do here. There's a much bigger world to explore, towns and villages brimming with life is the promise. It's a simulator game. It only gets so lively. And you're set in this tropical paradise, you could say, and generally you are meant to become the big boss. Now, you can play this in 3-person co-op mode, so you can build your empire together, but you do have to be careful. Cops and other rivals and generally obstacles will be in your way. There is also a parkour system, by the way, so by obstacles, I mean quite literally physical obstacles that you have to climb over. So, Dealer Simulator 2 did release as a simulator game, and people are enjoying it. It is there for your consideration. For a farming sim that fully released about a year ago as well, Ranch Simulator. Build, hunt, farm. Now, as always, it's a pet peeve of mine when people put keywords in the title of your game, so it's just Ranch Simulator. So this is a farming sim co-op that you can play with your friends, and you're building up a farm, exploring this open world, and doing all the farming stuff that you would expect, including making cheese, raising cattle. There's all the animals. You can have cats, you can have pets. There are quests to complete. There's trading to be done. There's ingredients to process into finished goods for you to sell. There's cars and vehicles to drive. There's a lot to this game, and even though it did release just over a year ago, it is continuing to get more and more updates. The recent update does introduce horse breeding and tree planting, so although it's not in early access, it's getting new features as if it is. And Ranch Simulator, very, very popular. About 25,000 user reviews on Steam at about 80% positive, and a lot of people are still playing this one. So it's popular and continuing to be popular, though it is a bit older, so you should pretty much know about it. Ranch Simulator, it's a farming sim that you may enjoy. Speaking of farming sims, of course, Farming Simulator 25. This recently fully released, and it's the new farming sim game. This is just a staple of the simulator genre. Every couple years we get a new one, and so far they're just generally very popular. And it's an esport, if you didn't know. People do farming sim competitions, and there's like an esports mode that you can play. Like if you didn't know about farming sim, then, well, there's a lot to it. People take it very, very seriously. Anyway, Farming Simulator 25 does bring you back to the farming experience. You can play it single player or in multiplayer. And this time around, they do change some things up. There's more of a focus on weather changing effects and ground deforming atmospheres. Twisters are here, and tire tracks will actually deform the ground, which could become a bit of a problem. Asian farming and new crops and animals have been added. You can plant rice this time around. There's green beans, spinach, peas. There's a bunch more tree species as well, and more livestock as well, like the buffalo. Farming Sim is also very proud of their authentic machinery, to being brand specific, and this is just considered to be a step forward for the series. So Farming Sim, if you're into Farming Sim 25 is the latest one. It seems to be going well. The focus for more development and more content will be on this one moving forward. So you can see how it progresses into the next year, because there are season passes. And finally, I do have to mention this series, but not the latest game as the best right now, but I'm gonna talk about it. Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, Microsoft Flight Simulator is one of the oldest and longest running simulator series ever. It's just always been around. And the last one, which released about 4 or 5 years ago, is very, very popular. People love it. It's so detailed and played, and it's just generally very, very interesting if you like flight sims. Now, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 released towards the end of 2024, and at the time of recording, it's at about 40% rating on Steam, because there's a lot of issues, particularly with bugs, crashes, always online requirements, and generally it's untested, full of issues. Many just say it's unplayable. So Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 may eventually be fixed up into something that's good, but for the time being, the popular version might be the 40th Anniversary Edition, which released in 2020, and I think anyone who wants to be playing Microsoft Flight Sim should probably stick to that last version rather than the latest version. We'll just have to see how the latest version does over the next year or 2, or maybe 3, considering the problems. But Microsoft Flight Sim, it is a staple of the genre. Just check in with the new one before getting it if you haven't already. Otherwise, maybe stick to the older version of Microsoft Flight Simulator. There you have it. That was a bunch of games. Which one was your favorite, and do you think any others deserve a mention? This is of course just one list of many that I've made. Maybe the game you're looking for is in another video on the playlist. Check that linked on screen and down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.